Elliot had a thing for the forgotten. His apartment was less a living space and more a museum of lost time. He collected old clocks that no longer ticked, rusted tools with stories worn into their handles, and faded portraits of strangers whose names were lost to history. But his most prized possession, the one that would change everything, came from a quiet estate sale on a cloudy Saturday. It was a black wooden box. Simple, elegant, with tarnished brass hinges but no keyhole. The auctioneer, a man with a tired voice, just called it the collector's box. When Elliot lifted it, he was surprised by its weight. It felt dense, solid, and for a fleeting moment he could have sworn he felt something shift inside, a subtle, muffled thud. Back home, his excitement quickly turned to frustration. No matter how he pulled, twisted, or pried, the box remained sealed. It was a perfect, seamless puzzle with no solution. For a while he accepted it. The box sat on his bookshelf, a dark, mysterious ornament among his other finds. But then the strange things started. Small things at first. He'd come home from a late shift and find the box wasn't where he'd left it. One day it was on his desk, nestled between a stack of books. The next, it was on the floor by his bed, almost as if it had been waiting for him. The most unsettling was finding it on the closed lid of the toilet, a cold, dark sentinel in the quiet of his bathroom. The incidents grew more personal, more invasive. He started waking up with a heavy pressure on his chest, his breath catching in his throat. And there it would be, the black box, sitting squarely on him, its cold wood a stark contrast to the warmth of his blankets. It felt like it was watching him, waiting. One night, the silence of his apartment was broken by a sound. A faint, rhythmic tapping. He sat up in bed, straining his ears. The sound grew more insistent, sharper. It was coming from the box. It wasn't a rattle or a thud this time. It was the distinct, chilling sound of fingernails scratching against wood from the inside. Panic seized him. He grabbed the box, ran out of his apartment, and threw it into the dumpster behind the building, the clang echoing in the deserted alley. He felt a wave of relief wash over him. It was over. But when he woke the next morning, his blood ran cold. The box was back. It was sitting perfectly centered on its usual spot on the bookshelf, not a scratch or a speck of dirt on it, as if it had never left. He was a logical man, a man who collected history, not ghost stories. There had to be a rational explanation. He found a locksmith in the phone book, an old-timer who specialized in antique locks. The man arrived, looked the box over, and his cheerful demeanor slowly faded. He ran his fingers over the seamless edges, examined the ancient hinges, and shook his head. He packed his tools without another word. As he was leaving, he paused at the door, refusing to look Elliot in the eye. "Some things," he muttered, his voice low, "are meant to stay locked." He left so quickly, the door was still swinging on its hinges. That night, Elliot's sleep was not his own. He dreamed he was paralyzed in his bed, watching a tall, dark figure standing at the foot of it. The figure was a silhouette, a void in the shape of a person, and it was holding the box. A voice, not heard with his ears but felt deep inside his skull, echoed through his mind. "Open it," it commanded, the words cold and sharp as ice, "or I will." He woke with a gasp, his body drenched in sweat. The dream had felt so real. He looked beside him on the bed, and his heart stopped. The collector's box was there, but something was different. A thin, dark line ran across the lid. It was cracked open, just slightly. A cold, musty air like the air of a tomb spilled out from the opening, chilling the room. His hand trembled as he reached for it. He had to know. What had he been so afraid of? What secret had this box held for so long? He lifted the lid. The weight was gone. It felt hollow now. He peered inside, expecting to find old letters or perhaps some forgotten jewelry. But what he saw made his mind shatter. Inside there were no objects. There were faces. Hundreds of tiny, perfect human faces pressed against the inner walls of the box. They were pale and translucent, their mouths open in silent screams, their eyes wide with an eternal, unending terror. He saw men, women, children, all trapped in this wooden prison. He slammed the lid shut, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He scrambled away from the bed, his back hitting the wall. He sat there, shaking, until the sun came up. The image of those silent, screaming faces burned into his vision. He had to get rid of it. He had to destroy it. But a morbid, horrifying curiosity compelled him to look one more time. Just one more time to make sure he hadn't imagined it. With a deep, shuddering breath, He crawled back to the bed and slowly, cautiously, lifted the lid. The faces were still there, their silent screams echoing in the void. But as his eyes scanned the horrific collection, he saw a new addition. Right in the center, looking directly up at him, was a face he knew all too well. Its mouth was agape. Its eyes were wide with a fresh, raw terror. It was his own. The collector's box had finally added him to its collection. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tailies from the shadows. Let me know in the comments what you think was in the box. Until next time, stay safe, and maybe think twice before bringing home a mysterious antique.